expert urges Labour to take keen interest in the trust management. And much later, Mine Workers Union meets Speaker of Parliament to drum home demand for the termination of the mining lease of Future Global Resources. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, the Education Ministry is this afternoon saying that it is not changing completely all uniforms of public basic school pupils in the country. It follows what has been widespread concern over the planned announcement to change the type of uniforms currently being used in the country's public basic schools, as well as repainting all basic schools in new colors. The Minister for Education, Dr. Ogbodu Adu, says that the changes form part of the transformation ongoing in the country's education system. Take a listen. We'll have to bring you that later, but some educationists have described the proposal as needless and misplaced. Peter Nate is Executive Director of... Peter Anti is the Executive Director of IFEST.
We have had this issue of uniform changes for some time now, and sometimes some of us in the education space think that our leaders actually do not have priorities. We first had this challenge when we did the curriculum reform in 2007. You know, there was a change, there was a change of name and then a change in uniform. So we moved from the junior secondary school to the junior high school, and then there was that talk of changes in the uniform. Unfortunately, the good things of the curriculum review all got lost because the conversation now turned to the change of name and the change in uniform. When we had another curriculum reform, and unfortunately, this issue of uniform came up again. Now, that time, what we were told was that there seemed not to be a difference between the students in the basic 1 to 6 and those in junior high school 1 to 3, and that because they wear the same uniform, the students think that they are part of the primary students, and therefore there's no pride in them moving from basic 6 to junior high school 1. So in order to deal with that and to ensure that the students feel the pride of moving into a senior high school, we should introduce the uniforms. And then we introduce uniforms. And unfortunately, just 5 years down the line, we are now still talking about changing the uniforms again because we want to rebrand. Meanwhile, within this period, our basic schools have deteriorated immensely from the strength that they were in 2019 to 2024 now.
So you heard the Executive Director of IFEST, Dr. Peter Enti. Let's bring you some statement from the ministry, and it was signed by the spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, and he says, contrary to the report, the Ministry of Education isn't changing uniforms for all public schools. Neither is the ministry repainting existing ones. The initiative focuses on newly built schools, aiming to uplift the appearance and enhance public confidence in public basic schools. Similar to senior high schools, junior high schools may have options for uniforms, but it doesn't apply or it doesn't imply a widespread change. The emphasis is on enhancing the aesthetic of new school facilities, not altering existing ones. All right, let's get some analysis from the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Mr. Kofi Asare.
Hello, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know whether you heard me read that clarification, as it were, from the Education Ministry regarding the proposed uniform change. Does it address your reservations about this policy?
Well, my only reservation, which is my personal opinion, not of Edward, is that I am not against the branding of basic education in any way, if it is intended to make it appealing. I have raised concerns about two things in respect of the uniform. The first is whether or not parents have been consulted, because parents are those that purchase basic school uniforms, not government. It is not a government procurement activity. It is parents that buy basic school uniforms. So I raise concern about the involvement of parents in that decision. The second is that the color of the uniform that government will eventually settle on should be one that does not dirty easily, because I am seeing white, black and white dirties easily. When you bring white as a uniform to the primary school level, you create a situation where every student will probably need at least 2 sets of uniforms for the week. In rural and poor communities where even 1 set of uniform is a challenge, you know what it means for using white. It will be very, very dirty. And so in taking that decision, we appeal to the ministry to avert their minds to the fact that white dirties easily, and that let's go for a color that with meager resources, poor families can afford 1 uniform in the whole week. I also raised in relation to the uniform the issue of how government should consider buying uniforms for the students in the 75 deprived districts. Government has been buying uniforms for senior high schools since 2017. And so it is possible for government to provide uniforms, if not for all basic school students, for pupils from the lowest income quintiles, many of whom are located in the 75 deprived districts, in the 5 northern regions, OT, and then also in the Northeast. So we think that it is something worthwhile for government to do. Having said that, it is worth explaining by the ministry whether these new uniforms or this new vision of a new uniforms includes or excludes junior high schools. Because as far as I'm concerned, junior high school uniforms were introduced about 4 years ago or 3 years ago. And so it won't make economic sense to include them in this change. And that it will be expedient to look at only primary schools, because they have been using there for about 4 decades. That is my take on the vision of the school uniform.
That's your take on it. There are others who are arguing. For instance, we heard from Peter Enti earlier of IFEST. He thinks that this is a misplaced priority. I'm wondering where your stance is as regards the timing of this policy.
I don't think it's a misplaced priority in the sense that this is not government procuring uniforms. That's the point I'm making. You see, we have pressing needs on government budgets. Okay? And so if government tells me that they are buying uniforms for all schools, both rich and poor, everybody now, I will be concerned, because not everybody might own would need a uniform from government. I will be concerned. But if government tells me that they are buying uniforms for all children in deprived areas today in basic schools, I will be happy, because Edward has been advocating for this since 2021, that you can't provide free uniforms for all children, rich and poor, in secondary schools and leave public basic schools. We've been advocating for this since 2021. And so I will be happy that the government is buying uniforms for basic school students in the deprived parts of the country, and then poor students in the urban poor. I will be happy. So it is never a mistake priority. The fact that you have schools under trees, the fact that you do not have the full complement of textbooks in all schools, does not necessarily mean that poor children who attend public basic schools, if they have an opportunity of getting free uniforms, it shouldn't be a priority. It is a priority. It has been demanding it for the past 4 years. So I will not drop it. It's a priority. But when it comes to the painting of school buildings, I believe that, again, painting is a maintenance issue. And so what we need to do is to have a system where we fund maintenance budget of schools and leave painting to be done by the schools. Now, the decision to paint a school is one that should be taken by the school management committee and the headmaster based on that particular budget. Let's build systems that encourage maintenance culture. We have a system where a school A might prioritize using their maintenance budget to fix broken down desks or repair tables or repair doors, locks, or windows. School B might also have as its priority painting of the school. So let's fund that budget and leave the decisions for the schools and let the government education service supervise how such decisions are taken and implemented. But this government wants to change the color of public basic schools. What I would say is that because we have a history of not having adequate resources to maintain our schools, including painting them, and I'm not saying we don't have schools on the trees, we have, but our existing schools must look good, not just because we have schools on the trees, our existing schools must look bad. No. So if government intends to change the color, what I will say is that the color we go for should be one that can withstand death. The current one we have is cream and dark brown, the cream and brown. I think it will stand death. But if there's a need to change it to a new color because of rebranding, that's fine.
Well, the ministry says blue and white. I'm sure you heard it. Blue and white.
Not the white one. Exactly. Exactly. So that we go for a color that wouldn't require so much money to maintain, and let the schools look dirty because they are not able to raise pay to pay them tomorrow.
Let me get
that would be my advice on the pay.
Let me get your final thoughts before we end this conversation. We are here, of course, this is a proposal, as it were. We don't know yet the costs of this policy. For you, as an educationist, what do you think or expect should be the component going into the cost factor, painting our schools, and these new uniforms that the government is talking about?
If you ask me about the cost, okay, the clarity the Ministry of Education has provided does not indicate that it is going to paint all schools. That's what, there's no cost issue now. The clarity the Ministry of Education has provided indicates that for new schools being constructed, it intends to switch to this color. It's not saying it's painting all existing schools. That is the clarity the Ministry of Education is providing now.
Certainly.
The discussion is more about a color that is cost effective, taking into cognizance our limited capacity as a country to provide painting regularly. And now I'm saying that the color we choose should be one that can withstand death, so that if we don't paint it tomorrow, it doesn't look too dirty. White, I believe, is too amenable to death. And so can we look for a color that can withstand death much more than white? That is where the discussion is now.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. And that was Kofi Asare. He's Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch. Thank you for sharing those views with us. Now, Labour expert Austin Game is urging Labour to take keen interest in the management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, commenting on a prediction by the International Labour Organization, ILO, that the reserves of SNIT are going to be completely depleted by 2036. Austin Game reiterated the need for persons who contribute to the scheme to take interest and protect the fund.
The study we did, and from what I know, SNIT pension system management must be carefully done without emotion and so forth and so on. If it is to be adjusted by way of inflation, recently we had 54%, and now at about 26, 27%. Can we withstand it? So there must be an agreed, that's why the fund must be protected by the owners of the fund and not by government and not by any outsider interfering in it. ILO has interest in workers' matters, so I appreciate that. But the point is that the owners of the money, who are the working people and all those who contribute to the scheme, must ensure that their interest is heavily protected. And the only way out is, what are the investment portfolios that their money should be put in? What will be the return on the investments? If the ROIs are not appropriately tailored, I can assure you it will be just fetching water with basket. So the sensible thing to do is to ensure that they have the right requisite, knowledgeable, experience, full of wisdom, with integrity people who should be on that board, and not politicians, and not political office holders. They have no right to take over the SNIT management. They have no right whatsoever. And so I'm urging organized labor to ensure that they nominate and have the right people to be put there. Why should government be the chairman of the board of SNIT? Why should the Minister of Finance be in controlling SNIT? Why should it be so? It should never be so. It should be the owners of the money that should control it and ensure that the investments are done and done rightly. What are the investments that SNIT has done so far? Where are they? What's the yield? So, and the fund managers of the second tier equally, eyes must be widely open on them. I'm an employer myself. I've been paying second tier and SNIT contribution on behalf of my working people. So it's of great concern to me also.
And you heard the Labour expert Austin Game. The president of NAGRAT, Angel Ogbodu, also expressed some concerns about how the government is managing SNIT.
Simply, the government should hands off the management and administration of SNIT and hand over SNIT to the owners of SNIT, who are the workers in this country, and ensure that monies that are supposed to be paid to SNIT, all the arrears that is in government chest, government takes action, gives timetable to pay the money back to SNIT. Right. Again, the monies that should go to SNIT on monthly basis should go adequately and timeously.
Angel Ogbodu is the president of NAGRAT. Now, mine workers from the Bogoso mine Thursday this afternoon meeting the Speaker of Parliament. The workers on Thursday besieged the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to picket. The workers are demanding that the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources terminate the mining lease of Future Global Resources, which are the managers of the Bogoso mine. Daniel Opoku is our man there. He joins us live on the line. Daniel, tell us what's happening where you are.
Right. So after their meeting with the Minister of Natural Lands and Natural Resources, they decided to proceed to Parliament today. And as I speak to you, they were supposed to have met the Speaker of Parliament early this morning. But unfortunately, due to some circumstances, they were asked to be at the Independence Square as we speak currently. Now they are waiting for a signal from Parliament before they can proceed to meet the Speaker of Parliament. So they are now at the Independence Square, and they have been dancing and beating drums and all that, waiting for the leadership to give them a signal so they can process from here to Parliament. Indeed,
I can hear the sound in the background, but beyond presenting their concern or statement to Parliament, what else do they intend to do?
Now, beyond today, that's when they will be sitting to wait for the signal from government. Already there has been a ruling, and there has also been a commitment from the sector of government where the Attorney General has asked the Minister in charge of Natural Lands and Natural Resources to terminate the appointment of Future Global Resources. And ample evidence have been tabled before the sector minister, where the minister is supposed to proceed. So beyond today, they may have to wait for at least 2 weeks or a month to get proper response from the sector ministry. After that, then they will know the next line of action. Because if government fails to proceed to terminate the appointment, to terminate the mining lease of Future Global Resources, then it's a clear indication that the mining workers are not going to stop picketing. They'll continuously be picketing, and if possible, we will not be surprised that we're heading to the law court to demand that the court imposes a lot of pressure on government to be able to terminate the appointment of Future Global Resources.
Thank you, Daniel Opoku, for that report. Daniel Opoku is our Labour Affairs correspondent. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. When we come back, well, it seems campaigns are getting hotter in Ejuso in the Ashanti region. We'll bring you details of that. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the first Edinkra International Arts and Crafts Show in Ghana. Organized by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA. This 10-day festival will be a celebration of functional arts and crafts, home decorations, jewelry and textiles, with export forums on the sidelines. Date 26th April to 5th May 2024. Venue Papaye Recreational Center, Eburi. Time 10 a.m. each day. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world of creativity and culture, surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of Eburi.
To register as an exhibitor, kindly visit gepafairs.org or call +233 24 470 6112 or +233 20 955 6525. Edinkra International Arts and Crafts Show. See you there.
Freezer, get the abba. Adama for the abba. A freezer. Adama, a crop was a mensia. Adama, make him so, my sorry. Can you know? Over Moasia. I do for the Nobium Unum and San last night. I don't know what we did. Adama for the craft from what we say. Get the Adruba copy. A ship will be a high technology. I go for freezer. When Kwan. And once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what's ya no fugum. The bus here, if we be any of us, you equity self, over Timono. Then we sure say, mention Tassia. Then what's enough for now? Freezer, when up a day. Freezer,
Dacia, a basson do so among Ammoniaji.
Me what's he car? To me, But you may not do some doom. Adama, without Adama, no queer. Adama, you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for a dream, or baby bear a tongue cry on way you. I say, Kayona Kenkai in Choya, a dream.
And just so here on the Midday News on 3FM. Thank you for staying. We'll go to the Ashanti region shortly, but ahead of that, hoteliers have expressed deep concerns about the slow pace of development in the sector, despite the numerous taxes which they say are severely impacting their business operations. Members of the association are lamenting the burden of levies, which they say have been counterproductive to their jobs. Dr. Edward Aka Nyamike is the president of the Ghana Hoteliers Association.
Income taxes like this, when they come, they suspect you've got some money. Your books are there. They'll check the books. Yes, sir. That's what they will ask you to pay for income tax and VAT and this and that, COVID, what and what. Plenty taxes. In fact, that one makes our job very, very difficult for us. The security services also come in. We have records about those who are in the rooms. Sometimes they come, maybe if you come on the Monday, the Sunday nights, those we have had, we'll show them the book. But still, they want to go into the rooms and check whether there are criminals in the rooms. And it's very disturbing. Sometimes the approach they come with is frightening. They want to intimidate you, which I feel is not very, very good. They should be able to trust us. After all, if there are criminals, we are clever enough to call them or let them know that we have a problem like this. Slowly, we can call the police, we can call the immigration. But yes, still, they don't trust us. Sometimes they come with some kind of vim and want to disturb us.
Now, some hoteliers who spoke to our reporter said that their business operations are increasingly becoming tougher.
Income taxes like this, when they come, they suspect you've got some money. Your books are there. They'll check the books. Yes, sir.
We've been calling for a consolidation of the taxes to a level that is conducive for business, because we have several of them. And then the utilities as well, water, electricity, and all that. We understand that the providers of power, that's the National Grid, ECG, and all that, are trying to ensure that we pay economic value for the power we use. But at that level too, it's counterproductive to our businesses. So we are also trying to look at alternative sources of power. Solar, as an example, any other source, that comes at a cheaper price. Okay. We have been made to understand that the policy on selling back the power you generate from solar is now back on the table. So we are hoping that we'll be able to encourage our members. You can imagine if most of the hotels in Ghana use solar to power a lot of their equipment and all that. It will tell a lot on our operations in terms of the cost of operation. So we think that government should look at some of these things, and then we'll be able to survive as a business. And when we survive, it has implications for the economic growth of the country.
And you rather had there Dr. Edward Aka Nyamike. He's the president of the Ghana Hotels Association. Earlier, you had Mary Ayaga, who is one of the hoteliers who spoke to our reporter earlier to the Ashanti region now, where some supporters of Ogbodu Usuediomi are confident of victory, despite unfavorable latest opinion polls by the Global Info Analytics. The latest poll by Global Info Analytics has projected a slim margin win for the New Patriotic Party's candidate. 50.6% of the electorate sampled said they would vote for the MPP's Kwabena Boateng, while 47.5% opted for the independent candidate and former MP for Ejiso Kwabena Usuediomi. Despite this outcome, supporters of Kwabena Diomi say they are unfazed by the prediction. Williams Inkum is our chief bureau, Northern Bureau chief. He joins us live from the constituency. William, approximately 4 days to the election, and it looks like the heat is on, right?
Well, absolutely, Beatrice. The heat is certainly on. And let me tell you what, it is We Are All Involved campaign that the MPP currently is embarking, because they simply cannot sit aloof and watch this particular seat snip out of their hands. So I have seen a number of, MPP bigwigs. For instance, the Deputy Minister of Education, so Honorable will join me very soon. He's on the ground campaigning. Not too long ago, I spoke with the parliamentary candidate, and he is currently engaging some supporters here just to convince them. But Beatrice, quickly, he is the man in a hurry. Let me speak to the Deputy Minister of Education and also a Member of Parliament for Kwaraso constituency, Professor Kingsley Nyako. I can see from the looks of your face, you are too serious as far as this particular seat is concerned.
Yeah, I have to, because we need to win the seat back. This seat was held by us. John Kuma was a very hard-working Member of Parliament. He did a lot for the good people of this constituency, Joso. And I think we need to honor his memory. He wouldn't let this seat slip by. So we're going to do our best. We're going to let the people know how John Kuma did, what the government has done to uplift the development of this constituency. We are told that the former Member of Parliament is making some inroads, but what I want to say is that whatever he did for the constituents, he did on behalf of the MPP and the government. Whatever he did was Deputy Minister for Roads. Whatever he did on behalf of the government, the party and the government given the opportunity. Okay, so we are just pleading with the good people of Ojoso not to overlook the candidate presented by the new patriotic party. All right. Okay, so they should vote for him, particularly, and we know his energy, and we know that he will be able to continue with the good work done by Honorable John Kuma.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. So, Beatrice, I think this is just, a simple reason to believe that the ground is heating up. Indeed. As far as April 30 by-election is concerned. It's not easy for both parties, especially the leading one. I'm talking about the NPP and then the independent candidate.
Indeed, and we just heard Kingsley Nyako there. It looks like the party is going to really fight hard to retain this seat, at least if for nothing, to honor the hard work, as it were, per my understanding of what he said of the late MP for the area. But briefly tell us what the supporters of Aduomi are saying, because they seem unfazed by this poll predicting 50.6% for Kwabena Boateng.
Well, absolutely. So they have been looking at a sample size 1,351 against the voter population of over 100,000. And even places that they deem strong for the former MP who is now going independent, Kwabena Aduomi. They are also looking at a sample size there. Random sampling, but talking to few people is something that they are not so much convinced about. Adams is one of the campaign coordinators for Kwabena Aduomi, and this is what he has to say.
It was a best surprise. Almost said Aduomi being 70%. And some more now, what Namna se be under them just so near now we are here. Marco Asiepa, and some more. No crema main can no crunch, no crane in the purpose here. The engine will be share, I say. Also, a Wabishia, or Muko for no moon say for more dimmer woman.
You heard Adams, as you heard Williams Income introduce him. He's one of the campaign team lead for Kwabena Aduomi, who is that independent candidate for the Ejiso by-election. And that's how we end the news here on Astri FM. Our top stories. Education is described as a misplaced priority, the proposed change of uniform for public basic schools. But you heard another one saying that he doesn't think it's a misplaced priority. Seems like mixed reaction there. You just got updates from the Ashanti region regarding the Ejiso by-election. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you so much for joining us today. Coming up next is Business Daily with Michael Ogbodu. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Good afternoon.
Hello there, good afternoon. It's time now for Business Daily. Coming up, banks anticipate surge in treasury bills following government's revenue target miss from the market.
As an individual, if you don't diversify, you put all your assets into one particular.
And Ghana Shippers Authority to sign service level agreements with players in the sector to enhance transparency and accountability. I am Michael Ogbodu. I bring you details of our top stories and more shortly. Please stay with us. Let's head straight into our top story. Now, players in the banking sector are projecting an uptake in treasury bills in the coming days. This comes after the government failed to meet its revenue target on the treasury bill market due to undersubscription over the last couple of weeks. Deputy Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, Ghana Atu stated that banks are likely to return to the market soon as they work to meet the Bank of Ghana's new cash ratio requirement. He was speaking on the sidelines of the BNFT Money Summit on the theme Investing for the Future.
I'm sure you know Bank of Ghana has increased the cash reserve requirement from 15 to 20% and 25% depending on where you stand in terms of your loan to deposit ratio. Many of the banks are in the high end of reserving 25%. Now that's a huge amount of money, and so if you don't have that money, and I don't expect banks to have the money sitting down, that money would either be in investment like treasury bills or in loans, and so to meet that requirement, your preoccupation is to ensure that the money you have, any money that comes in, is reserved to meet that requirement. And so you have a choice between breaching the requirement and investing in T-bills. And I think as a bank regulated entity, your first option will be to meet the requirements before you think of investment. And treasury bills are investment instrument for banks. And so that probably is the reason why for the past 2 weeks, you haven't seen banks participating as we used to be in those auctions. But I think individuals are participating as normal. So it has nothing to do with fear of sovereign default or where the country finds itself. And I believe it's temporary. As banks meet, I'm sure they'll go back to the auctions and invest.
So that was Deputy Managing Director of Fidelity Bank Ghana, Atu. Now, investors have been advised to diversify their investments in a bid to shield them against risks. This follows recent shake-up within the financial sector, including the domestic debt exchange program, which led to the loss of some investments. Addressing the media at the Maxwell Investments Group Business Forum organized in Accra, financial lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Adu, said there's the need for individuals to spread their investments to minimize unforeseen risks.
The point I'm trying to make is that we cannot be sitting in the present ignoring what is coming in the future. It is imminent, and learning from past mistakes, being told about this situation from those that are already in their golden era, we find it's invaluable for both the company, our stakeholders.
When it comes to personal financing, diversification is key. Diversification has a key role of minimizing your risk. So as an individual, if you don't diversify, you put all your assets into one particular investment. When the risk strikes, you could lose, and you might even lose everything. So as you plan your retirement or you plan your finances, you need to diversify. Put some into maybe treasury bill, a bit into real estate, a bit into fixed income securities, then the equity market. It's all diversification so that they all bring their returns together, and when the risk strike from one end, the other ends will be available to cushion you. If you don't restructure, if you don't do changes within your policies and things that run, you'll be stagnant, you'll be static. So the restructuring and all the kind of stuff we're going through is necessary. We'll come out of it, and when we come out of it, Ghana will be a better place.
So that was Dr. Adu. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Meanwhile, Chief Executive of Maxwell Investments Group, Dr. Maxwell Ampong, highlighted the impact of financial literacy in post-retirement financial security.
The point I'm trying to make is that we cannot be sitting in the present ignoring what is coming in the future. It is imminent, and learning from past mistakes, being told about this situation from those that are already in their golden era, we find it's invaluable for both the company, our stakeholders, and Ghana as a beloved nation. Volatility in the market is inevitable. Even the the very rich countries are facing volatility. How much more we who are considered to be low income? It's something that we have to live with. Just as Dr. Amwa said, diversification is one of the things that we need to look at. That said, I do not think that there is any investment that is 100% secured. Investments or putting where you put your money, it's like breathing. You cannot avoid it. You have to choose one way or the other to get some oxygen into your lungs, or you die. It's the same with money. It's the same with investments. It's the same with your spending. It's the same with your finance. You have to find a way to go around it.
So Maxwell... So that was the Chief Executive Officer of Maxwell Investments Group, Dr. Maxwell Ampon, speaking there. Away from that, in a bid to enhance transparency and accountability in the shipping and logistics sector, the Ghana Shippers Authority has begun moves to sign service level agreements with players in the sector. The move is to ensure that both shippers and shipping service providers fulfill their obligations to each other to propel economic growth. Speaking on behalf of the CEO, Kwesi Bafo Sapong, at the 2024 Demerit Seminar, Director of Operations at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Sylvia Asana Owu, also reiterated the call for shipping service providers not to impose levies on shippers based on clearance delay procedures of no fault of theirs.
As an agency established to champion the interests of importers, exporters in Ghana, the authority is of the firm belief that where shippers do not occasion delays, they should not bear the associated cost. This requires all stakeholders in the shipping value chain to be minded about the cost of their actions or inactions. To improve service delivery in the industry, I'm pleased to indicate that the Ghana Shippers Authority is currently initiating steps to implement the provisions of Ghana Shippers Authority Regulation 2012 LI 2190, Section 6, related to service standards to ensuring minimum standards and quality of shipping services to shippers. One key aspect of the implementation is signing of service level agreements with shipping service providers, which is expected to foster accountability in the industry.
So you heard the Director of Operations at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Sylvia Asana, speaking. Finally, Programs Manager at KGL Foundation, Neil Ankonu Anoba Sape, has called for collaboration between government and the private sector in tackling youth unemployment in Ghana. Unemployment rate increased to 3.6% in 2023 from 3.5% in 2022, with the average rate hitting 14.7% in the first 3 quarters of 2023, a figure most have described as worrying. He made the call at the media launch of the 2024 Africa Street MBA, an innovative entrepreneurial platform aimed at providing comprehensive support to startups and small businesses in Ghana.
We believe that you have to give Ghanaians an opportunity. We believe that we're complementing government efforts. We cannot expect government to do everything. As a foundation, we believe that there are opportunities for young people to really, harness and be able to basically improve the economic standards. We believe that government agencies and departments as well as ministries are here today. We cannot determine or decide for how they run their programs, but we believe that there's a clear mission, a clear agenda, and we're saying that if we want to achieve the sustainable development goals, which includes economic empowerment for everyone, we need to collectively work. We just don't want to say government should do it alone. As at KGL Foundation, it's all about partnerships, collaboration to be able to bring about the changes we want in this country.
So that was Programs Manager at KGL Foundation, Ni Anoku Anoba Sape, bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend with Ras Kobe. Stay